I'm the founder and CEO, as you mentioned, of this product, Hint, and it's an unsweetened flavored water. Ultimately got to thinking about my own health. I was taking a break and I was drinking a ton of diet soda. Never really thought that was a problem. I was having some stomach issues, but more than anything, I'd gained a bunch of weight over the course of a few years and consistently. When I finally decided to do a quick swap just to see what would happen, I realized I was really thirsty because I was no longer drinking my drink that I was drinking throughout the day. So I started drinking water. And I think at one point I looked at my family and I said, water is so boring. I stuck with it for a couple of weeks. And that's when, lots of health changes came about. I cleared up my skin, my energy levels went up. I lost over 20 pounds. When I looked for this product that I had been creating now in my kitchen to make water taste better with just fruit and water, I was shocked that the product wasn't in stores. I never sat there and said, I'm going to go be an entrepreneur. I'm going to quit this tech job. I'm going to, go and take on, the big soda or any of those things. For me, I just wanted this product on the shelf. That was the point when I thought, if I could actually create a product that has just fruit and water in it and get people to buy it, then maybe that would help people get healthy. But it's probably, for me, curiosity. The most important thing is to always be learning. And it doesn't matter what if you're a vice president and you're hiring a director, I mean, you can actually hire directors on your team that you don't know exactly everything that they're doing, right? That it should be one of these roles where you're actually, you're curious about different things and people will show you things. One of the chapters in the book is one of our best employees. I mean, when I said, what does this person know that you don't know? And he said, what? Why would I hire somebody that is smarter than me? They're going to move me out of my job. And I said, no, I mean, you can't think about it that way. Any of my friends or colleagues, coworkers that I've worked at in the past, when they're really, not the happiest people, maybe the most frustrated, not really sure if they want to stay in their role, it really boils down to, this curiosity as well as this desire to just go out and learn. So I was doing a ton of public speaking and traveling, and I started journaling. And the journaling really stemmed from a lot of talks that I was doing where people would, there'd be the Q&A at the end and people would ask questions, and I would use those questions as my prompts to actually, write write in my journal every night. And I found that there were different stories that I would share in this journal initially that really helped people to kind of break through or get started. And I thought that if I could actually just get these stories out there, I was initially thinking just to bind the journal and just give it to people, because I just thought, that the frustrating thing was that companies would hire me to come in and share the story, or, I'd be speaking on campuses or whatever. And there were a lot of people that really needed help that wouldn't go to those conferences, that wouldn't work inside those companies and wouldn't be in that, on that campus. So I thought, how do I reach them? I thought I should just get it out there. So I talked to a friend who was an author, and she said, you should just you should publish the book. And I said, that's scary. That's very daunting. I mean, how do I have time to do this? And she said, what are you talking about? You've written 600 pages. And I was like, maybe, I don't know. It really stemmed from, very similar to my product, being curious about something. No one ever told me, just go try and just go figure out that there are a million different things that you can do. And that the trick is figuring out what are those things that you really enjoy doing every single day. The most interesting entrepreneurs are the ones that they just go try. A couple of years ago, we had decided to do a creative that basically was going to turn into a digital campaign that we were maybe going to use on Facebook, and primarily leading people into not only knowing more about Hint, but also getting to buy Hint. So we had a little bit of budget. We hired an agency and got it shot. And it was funny because I had just run into a friend who I used to work at CNN with, and I reached out to her and I said, I heard that the Super Bowl was totally sold out, and do you know if there's any inventory? And we didn't have, the $5 million or whatever it was, but it works over at Fox Sports. You should reach out to him. And so I did. And he, knew I was living in San Francisco, and he said, oh, I'm actually at the 49ers game right now. I may actually, if you guys are in, maybe, you should buy the ad. I said, oh yeah, right. I don't have, $5 million. And he called me back. The 49ers won, and he called me back and he said, you should look at maybe buying the San Francisco market. And I said, oh, that's really interesting. And so, reached out, he had a broker reach out. Anyway, the net of it is that I started reaching out to all these locals. And before I even told our marketing team, I said, what if we could spend like $1 million and get the reach of, 60% of the market? Would you do it? And I mean, the entire office looked at me and they just said, she's hallucinating. We have a great ad and it would just be so crazy. Let's do it. Well, anyway, the net of it is that we ended up getting, I think, over 70% of the US on. We knew that we were going to run just right before halftime, but it could be anywhere from like half an hour to minutes before halftime. And it was, there was one commercial right before the halftime show, but we were right there. I mean, it was unbelievable. And I remember sitting on the sofa and watching, the ad come up. It's really exciting. All of a sudden, my phone got so hot that it actually turned off because of all the people all over the US and customers and my team. The amount, I mean, I would have paid just to have my team see that they had a Super Bowl ad, that it worked much better. And it worked, in addition, it worked differently than I would have ever predicted.